How do you let go to your attachment to things? How do you let go of attachment to things? That's what they do, the children these days. And there's two girls, two children. They're the ones that I passed before. That's what they do. They go around with their camera and they take selfie. They boost their ego without knowing. This is what, it's a programmed state of mind. It's a programmed state of mind. I think we're born like that. Born in the world of ego, and this is what drives us, the ego. And I'm starting to realize it. The more you reflect, the more you realize things. I think this is what's happening to me. It's the more I reflect, the more I'm capable of sensing things maybe that other people cannot, because they're very, very entrenched in things, in owning things. So I think once you happen to let go of them on a way that is by yourself, you will realize. Anyway. So, how do you let go of attachment to things? Don't even try, it's impossible. Attachment to things drops away by itself when you no longer seek to find yourself in them. In the meantime, just be aware of your attachment to things. Sometimes you may not know that you are attached to something, which is to say identified, until you lose it, or there is the threat of loss. If you then become upset, anxious, and so on, it means you are attached. If you are aware that you are identified with things, the identification is no longer total. I am the awareness that is aware that there is attachment. That's the beginning of the transformation of consciousness. See? One thing, the need for more. The ego identifies with having, but its satisfaction in having is a relatively shallow and short-lived one. Concealed within it remains a deep-seated sense of dissatisfaction, of incompleteness, of not enough. I don't have enough yet, by which the ego really means I am not enough yet. As we have seen, having, the concept of ownership, is a fiction created by the ego to give itself solidity and permanency and make itself stand out, make itself special. Since you cannot find yourself through having, however, there is another more powerful drive underneath it that pertains to the structure of the ego, the need for more, which we could also call wanting. No ego can last for long without the need for more. Therefore, wanting keeps the ego alive much more than having. The ego wants to want more than it wants to have. And so the shallow satisfaction of having is always replaced by more wanting. This is the psychological need for more. That is to say, more things to identify with. It is an addictive need, not an authentic one. Not an authentic one. In some cases, the psychological need for more, or the feeling of not enough that is so characteristic of the ego, become transferred to the physical level and so turns into insatiable hunger. The sufferers of bulimia will often make themselves vomit so they can continue eating. Their mind is hungry, not their body. This eating disorder would become healed if the sufferers, instead of being identified with their mind, could get in touch with their body and so feel the true needs of the body rather than the pseudo needs of the egoic mind. I have someone very close to me that had that disorder. Yeah. My sister. Yeah. I never knew. But she was always, I never been really close to her. Never been really close to her, maybe for that reason. I'm very, very, but not spiritual. I'm poor in spirit, maybe. Maybe I'm poor in spirit. But beautiful, eh? Yeah, she always been very, we always been very distant, very, never been really close, never exchanged on deep levels on life and stuff. And yeah, she's been having that episode of bulimia, but I never knew about it. My mom told me like 14 years later. 14 years later, I discovered that she had that problem. Never knew about it. She was gone for 14 years in Switzerland. Yeah. So, you know, I wish today I could have a... But I wish. I don't need a relation with her. She's too much identified with the book said, the mind, the ego. Very, very identified with her ego. But yeah, I never really not understood because it's not my place to understand or overstand another person's journey. But I mean, I don't know. Some egos know what they want and pursue their aim with grim and ruthless determination. Genghis Khan, Stalin, Hitler, to give just a few larger-than-life examples. The energy behind their wanting, however, creates an opposing energy of equal intensity that in the end leads to their downfall. In the meantime, they make themselves and many others unhappy, or in the larger-than-life examples, create hell on earth. Many people will create hell on earth with their behavior. So much. Most egos have conflicting wants. They want different things at different times, or may not even know what they want, except that they want what is the present moment. Unease, restlessness, boredom, anxiety, dissatisfaction are the result of unfulfilled wanting. Wanting is structural, so no amount of content can provide lasting fulfillment, as long as the mental structure remains in place. Intense wanting that has no specific object can often be found in the still developing ego of teenagers, some of whom are in permanent state of negativity and dissatisfaction. The physical needs for food, water, shelter, clothing, and basic comforts could be easily met for all humans on the planet, were it not for the imbalance of resources created by the insane and rapacious need for more, the greed of the ego. It finds collective expression in the economic structures of this world, such as the huge corporations, which are egoic entities that compete with each other for more. Their only blind aim is profit. They pursue that aim with absolute ruthlessness. Nature, animals, people, even their own employees are no more than digits on the balance sheet, lifeless object to be used, then discarded. It's reality. The thought forms of me and mine of more than, or of I want, I need, I must have, and of not enough, pertain not to content but to the structure of the ego. The content is interchangeable. As long as you don't recognize those thought forms within yourself, as long as they remain unconscious, you will believe in what they say. You will be condemned to acting out those unconscious thoughts, condemned to seeking and not finding. Because when those thought forms operate, no possession, place, person, or condition will ever satisfy you. I'm out.